So come to the another important feature of democracy, that is a democratic government will conduct free and fair elections regularly. Here we can discuss the election activities of two countries, China and Mexico. Chinese government is conducting elections regularly after 5 years to get their representatives to their National People's Congress, and around 3,000 members will be elected all over China to their parliament. Then what is wrong with China? As they are conducting election regularly, it can be considered as a democratic. But we need to go through the procedures that a candidate need to follow whenever he is interested to be a candidate at the time of election. That is, a candidate in China needs to get the approval of Chinese Communist Party. Then only he can be a candidate at the time of election. Either he must be a member of Chinese Communist Party, or he must be a member of any other 8 smaller parties allied to Communist Party of China. If he is a member of Chinese Communist Party or a member of any other 8 smaller allied parties to Communist Party of China, he can be a candidate in Chinese election. So every time Chinese government is conducting election, but the candidate must be from that Chinese Communist Party alone. So they are conducting election, they are having around 3,000 elected members to their Chinese parliament, but only one party can contest in that election. So is it a correct type of election that a democratic government need to follow? Come to the case of Mexico. Mexico got independence in 1930. From there onwards, they are conducting general elections after every 6 years to get their president. And what is special to Mexico is that that country has never been under a military or a dictatorship. From 1930 onwards, they are continuing democratic activities or democratic government in their country. But what is need to notice from the case of Mexico is that until 2000, every election is won by a particular party called PRI. PRI stands for Institutional Revolutionary Party. The only party that always winning the election is PRI till 2000. What kind of a technique that Mexican government is following to win that election every time? That all the government officers are supposed to attend the party meetings, and the government schools or government officials etc. need to instruct the parents and other members to vote for that particular party alone. Either through school activities or through any other public meeting, government officials are supposed to give instructions for people and parents to vote for that particular party alone. Mexican government allows other parties also to contest in election, but PRI alone will win the election. It is only because of the foul play playing by the government officials with the compulsion from the side of government orders. That's why while we are comparing these two cases, China and Mexico, both these countries are conducting elections regularly, either after 5 years or after 6 years. But in China, a person can be a candidate only when he is the member of Chinese Communist Party. And in case of our Mexico, only one party can win the election because PRI need to be supported by every government officials, either through school institutions or any other type of public institutions or government institutions. People must be given power and choice in order to select their leaders. It should not be malpracticed. It should not be enforced by any externals to select or vote for a party. If any government is conducting such a full free election, that is called a democratic government. So just compare case of Mexico and China. Let us consider the other important feature of democracy, that is one person, one vote, one value. We have studied about lots of revolutions in this world. Many of the revolutions in this world were to get universal adult franchise. That means the right of a citizen of that country to be a voter after 18 years of age. without having no any type of importance, where on the basis of gender or caste or religion or their economical condition, etc., without having no any such differences or without having no any type of discrimination, every person above 18 years of age need to get voting right. That was the most important demand for every other revolutions across the world. So we can go through some of the examples of countries now. That is, until 2015 in Saudi Arabia, women did not have the right to vote. They were discriminated. And in Estonia has made its citizenship rules in such a way that people belonging to Russian minority find it difficult to get the right to vote. That is, minority people lost their chance to be a voter. And in Fiji, the electoral system is such as that the voters of an indigenous Fiji has more value than that of an Indian Fijian. That means according to their nationality or according to the locality where they belongs to or on the basis of their gender or any such discriminations are going on still in case of voting system. But a democracy supports each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value, because a democratic country need to ensure equality of all its citizens before law. There should not be no any kind of discrimination zone based on any of the facts. So again, one person, one vote, one value is considering as another important feature of democracy, which is still not practicing in many countries of the world. Let us discuss another important feature of democracy, that is rule of law and respect for rights. Here we have a good example in order to discuss, that is about a country Zimbabwe, an African country exactly in the southern part of Africa. Zimbabwe is an independent country after 1980, and the leader of Zimbabwe after its independence is Robert Mugabe. Under him, Zimbabwe got independence, and the party that is always winning the election is ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF. This is the party led the freedom struggle, and its leader Mugabe became the leader after independence. Regular elections are conducting by this government or by this country, and always the party winning that election is ZANU-PF. Even though he is elected as the leader, he changed the constitution several times in order to increase his power as the president of his country. And opposition parties or any those who are opposing him will be harassed, and sometimes their meetings will be disturbed, and sometimes they may be considered as banned. In order to strengthen himself, public protest against him or demonstration against the government activities etc. considered or declared illegal, and the powers of people also reduced as they couldn't do any type of protest against him. Television channels or radios etc. also given permission only to broadcast supportive news about the administrative party. So such a nation is Zimbabwe. Got independence in 1980 but are not in a democratic style, as the people haven't any voice and they haven't any chance to protest against him. They can't question anybody, as the constitution itself is changing regularly in order to protect the powers of the president. Can we consider Zimbabwe as a democratically elected nation? Since we discussed about the conditions of administrations in many countries from this lesson, while we are going to summarize, we have to summarize some of the important points now. A democracy cannot do everything as they like simply because it is got elected. It need to respect some of the aspects or desires of people, need to give equal consideration, exactly political equality at the time of election. Major decisions of a democratic country must be taken by the elected leaders, so it should not be just like Pakistan. Free and fair elections are compulsory in order to change the administrative setup either to lose or to gain. So Compulsory elections are needed, but it should not be just like China or Mexico. One person, one vote, one value must be considered. So elections are to be free and fair, where it should not be just like Saudi Arabia, Fiji or Estonia. Rule of law and respect for rights must be practiced, so it should not be just like Zimbabwe. A democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional rules and citizens' right. So while we are going to summarize, we can identify from all what we discussed above that a democratic government must be rulers elected by the people take all the major decisions. Elections offer a choice and fair opportunity to all people to change the current rulers. That means the party in power sometimes may have a chance to lose also. And this choice and opportunity is available to all people on equal basis without any kind of discrimination. So whenever a country is fulfilling all these basic facts about a nation's administration, we can consider it as just a democracy. So from this portion, we have discussed only about what is democracy. What kind of a country or administration can be called as democracy? What are important features are there for a democratic nation? What are types of powers will be there in a democratic country, etc. So we have completed the first portion of our chapter 11. We have its continuations in the coming days. So study well, prepare your notes and watch our coming videos also for better understanding. Thank you.